MySQUARE is an exciting company that's focused on Myanmar. We do app development, and we have we have a social media platform that's specifically focused on Myanmar.
What is it about MySQUARE which actually excites private investors? You're often one of the most talked about stocks on the London South East website.
I think what excites investors is the fact that we're working in an incredibly interesting emerging market of Myanmar. There's over 50 million people there, and we're in 47% of those people are young people, 24 years and younger. So it's a very exciting market, and it's one that we are focused providing apps, technology, things that are very modern, going into a market that's leapfrogged from being cut off from the world to now moving in on the latest and greatest technology, and we're participating in that.
Could you summarize that market for us? Explain to us why it's just got so much potential.
Sure. You've got a country that with over 50 million people, because it was under sanctions, was cut off from the world. And it didn't have the foreign direct investment, it didn't have the technology. When we first went there was a little over, less than 3 million phones in the country. Very small penetration rate. Now there's over 93% cell phone penetration. Everyone has cell phones. Everyone's using the smartphones. 80% of the phones sold are smartphones, and those are the ones that run our apps and our games.
And the demographic is fairly young, isn't it?
It is, yes. It's almost 50% of the people are young people. It's a huge youth population, so that's another reason I think it's exciting for investors, because they have an opportunity to participate and they see that there's such growth potential that way. It's not an aging population, it's a youth population.
You released some revenue figures today in an RNS. Could you summarize those numbers for me?
Sure. We released revenue figures in our trading update today that averaged $135,000 a month for the past through September. And those numbers disappointed investors, we saw, but we feel that part of that is we have two areas. One is we do app development, and our revenue figures that we released this morning for the same period are 400% higher than they were a year ago. We also do some project-based work, which we did earlier in the year, and the company obviously we have more project-based work that comes to the company or gets asked by the company, and that changes the revenue streams.
Might it be possible to explain to me where those revenues actually come from? Is it payments? Is it MyPay?
Sure.
Where do they come from?
The payment streams that we have is most of the majority of our revenue comes from our gaming and apps. That's the ones we released right now. We've also received profitable revenues from third-party app development that we've done.
Okay. You make games and apps. So how do your customers buy these? And how important is it partnering with the main networks in Myanmar?
Sure, that's an excellent question. Our apps are downloadable, for example, on the Google Play Store, but also many of the phones sold in Myanmar don't have access to the Google Play in the past. So as a result, they can download the APK or the program file for the game from many of the popular websites in Asia that provide that, or even peer-to-peer. If you have the game, we can transfer from your phone to my phone directly, and that's how people are able to get the games.
It doesn't work the way it does in Europe necessarily, does it?
No, it does not. Here, for example, a user may have Google Play, they have their games, it's updated automatically, it downloads quickly. Things in Asia are a little different that way, and they're cognizant of the fact that certain websites, for example, Chinese phones originally were not allowed, they couldn't get into the Google Play Store, so the only way you could download that was from a third-party website that was popular in Asia.
And many people actually have Chinese smartphones now.
Absolutely. You can buy a very high-quality Chinese smartphone for less than $50 in Myanmar.
Okay. MyPay and its mobile payment facility is a big piece of the puzzle for MySQUARE. So what relationship do you have with MyPay, and how's that rollout going?
Well, we have a commercial arrangement with them. They went ahead and they have paid MySQUARE to go ahead and have access to our user base for certain payment procedures that they want to pursue.
And how's the rollout going? How's it working?
It's fine. It's created revenue for MySQUARE. It's an excellent example of how you can build that user base and monetize it through various avenues.
Is it positive for your games and apps going forward?
Anything that goes ahead and gives ways that we can go ahead and lower the cost of and ease of access for users to pay, similar to your question related to how the telcos are involved. We have agreements with Telenor, we have agreements with Ooredoo, which allow the user to pay for things and to buy things from MySQUARE just through debiting their top-up balance.
What's your business model? Do you prefer to license games and apps, or do you prefer to build your own?
That's a very good question. We prefer to license them. To build an app, it can be very expensive and time-consuming. We'd prefer to license an app that we can see, or a game that has already been successful in certain countries, and then we reskin it. By reskinning it, what we do is we change it to the Myanmar language, we may adapt the music, may adapt certain scenes, and then release that in Myanmar.
How are you getting on with the repayment of your 2 loan notes that you have outstanding? How's that coming along?
The company has no debt at this time. Yes, we have no debt.
Great, so that was an issue for you, but it's something you've actually put to bed?
That's correct, yes.
If you give me an answer on what's happened to the loan notes, I'd be very grateful.
Yes, we paid off the loan notes. We have no debt. We have a available credit facility which is untapped.
Okay. So how much did you raise in your last funding round, and what are you going to spend it on?
We raised 1.2 million sterling, and we plan to use that to go ahead and make acquisitions and investments that will go ahead and further the growth of the company.
And what will those acquisitions actually be on? Have you got targets in mind?
We want to target companies or investments that will go ahead and increase the content of what we can go ahead and offer our users, and that will go ahead and do things to facilitate, obviously the growth of the business, that will strengthen and leverage off our foundation in Myanmar.
And how competitive is the market for games and apps in Myanmar?
The market everywhere, once people see the monetary opportunity, always becomes competitive. We're fortunate that we've maintained what we feel is pole position, so to speak, and we're continuing to go ahead and we're continuing to do that. We've got some very popular games.
And finally, what about the Rohingya issue? Is that overhanging the share price at all, or is it something that's more difficult to actually see on the ground in Myanmar? It's less visible in Myanmar.
It's a very sad situation that's gone on that way. It's something that is doesn't seem to affect things commercially on a day-to-day basis because of where it is in the country. Similar to something not occurring here in London, being outside, but it's still obviously a very sad situation. And it does affect international perception.
Will it give you an issue finding suitable partners and people to do business with?
Right now, that does not directly affect our business because we're working with consumers in Myanmar.
Eric Shearer, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.